not ready for this. I'm not ready. I need to do
That's
a title.
Good.
Yeah, it is. It's more natural, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we're live now. We're live. Let's see. Because I've had a lot of trouble.
Well, that makes a change for me at my age.
What's that? What's that?
I said that makes a change for me at my age.
No, seriously, I've had so many problems with my Wi-Fi and the setting up this software, which has taken a long time. But yeah, we're on. I'm just double checking. Okay, perfect. We are on. It looks like it's a little bit jittery, but I think the sound's okay, so that's fine. So Charles, welcome.
Okay. That's good.
Thank you for coming on. I love your. Is that one of your paintings? That's one of your paintings in the background.
Yeah. There's a couple up there, and there's one of Midge. Me sitting with Midge at the game fair, and a permit which I've yet to catch up here.
Nice.
And a book called Turner's Apprentice up here, which I'm not, but it's how to paint in the style of Turner.
Oh,
which I'll never do.
Lovely.
But I aspire, darling. I aspire.
So let's talk first about fishing for schools and the history of it. Where did it all begin?
About 12, 13 years ago, I guess. One school in Tewkesbury, of all places, and they contacted us and wanted a program for a special unit that they had in the mainstream school that would actually get the kids to re-engage with their various studies, and basically offer them something with an educational slant, but wasn't too taxing because they just couldn't go into the usual mainstream way of operating. So for some unknown reason, they contacted us. So we got there, and I thought, well, I'm a bit out of my depth here. Well, I've got a history in teaching. I mean, I went to college and all the rest of it. Got my DIP AD and so forth. But I hate acronyms. Diploma of Art and Design. And some idiot back then said, "Okay, you've got this. You can go and teach." We didn't have any formal education in teaching, I might add. He just said, "Oh, you can go and teach." I mean, thank goodness things have changed now. But anyway, I knew a lot of teachers, so I said, "Look, what can we do? How can we do this? What do we need to have in place?" And gradually, over time, we've developed this program, and we've put, yes, it's about fishing, but we've put education right firm central to everything that we do. So we're now engaging on a much wider area than we did back then. But that's how it started. One school in Tewkesbury, and now, of course, well, we haven't got any schools at all at the moment, which is a bit of a frustration. But it's amazing how it's grown. I mean, we're only limited by the funding we can draw down. That's purely it. I mean, we could do 100 schools. We could do probably 1,000 schools if we had the money to do it. But like every other, and it is a business. At the end of the day, it's got to wash its own face. It's got to do all the things it has to do, like it would do in any other business, Marina, any other business. And we're gone through a whole process of readjustment in this last couple of months because we've had to, like so many other businesses. And I refuse to sit here in about 6 months' time saying, well, I didn't do this because. And I've looked at it from so many different angles and how we embrace the future, because it's going to change. No matter what happens. I mean, yes, we're going fishing and that's stayed the same. But the life around us is going to change dramatically, I think. So fishing for schools has got to change.
I was with a teacher the other day, and she said that she's got 36 children in her class, and they all have to wash their hands. So one goes up to the sink, they all line up. One goes to the sink, washes their hands. They have to go back round whilst all the other ones put soap on their hands. So they have all that time back in the queue to keep washing their hands with the soap, and then they go back and then they wash their hands under the water. And apparently their hands are just completely chapped and dried, and it is crazy, because you think as well, like, you know, lots of schools they have to stop the day at, I think it's 2:00, and then teachers have to go back and then mark the ones that the children that aren't in school. So there's some children are going back to school, and other children are being homeschooled, and it's really quite scary to think that the children who are missing out on being at school for this year, what will happen, you know, in their exams or back at home. You know, parents aren't used to having their children at home all the time.
Well, also, I mean, you know, you mentioned that wonderful P word, parents. I mean, most, or I won't say most, but a percentage of our students that come to us don't have parents, or if they do, it's a single parent. And you've got, you know, we're in a very fortunate position, you and I. I mean, I'm gazing out here across fields, and, you know, I've got a river sliding by not so far away. And yet, you know, over the last few weeks and months, I've just started to think about what it must be like for somebody who's on a minimum income with a couple of kids, literally trapped in a tower block under lockdown, with not much really to relieve that situation, and the sort of mental damage that will do to them long term. Because it is, I mean, we're marching into an area, and this all sounds a bit sort of, you know, clap handy and do goody and all the rest of it, but the importance of fishing must never be underplayed. I mean, you know it, I know it. The quiet, the restorative quality when you get onto a riverbank or a lakeside or wherever it happens to be, or a pond, is huge. It's fundamental. And that's really what we're going to be doing. And you talk about kids going into school. Well, we've actually rearranged everything and addressed that full on by saying, do we have to go into schools to do what we do? Yes, we need to do hands-on stuff out in the field and show them fishing and the rest of it when it's appropriate to do so. Now we're finding ways to actually get our case across via the internet, via technology. It's there, use it. Quite simply, just do that.
And how many students have you had through the school since the start?
Oh my goodness, how many? It's
That's
thousands.
a trick question.
I mean, literally thousands.
Really?
I mean, I've got the stats here. I mean, I
should have
really
prepped you on that.
Shouldn't I?
I know, that's totally mean of me.
A seasoned politician, and say, right, we did 400 million and a half, and if I did 400 million and a half kids, I'd worry about the half, actually. Whatever happened to the other half? What happened to that person? But no, it must. I think we're not far off 3,000 children that come through the program now. For 12 years, that doesn't sound very much, does it? Not really. But we only deal with small groups because we have coaches who will only do, say, 2 students max, because we're talking about kids with both behaviour and learning disabilities. So we've got to be very careful how we undertake the things that we do. So when you couch it in those terms, and we're looking for things over time, so you're not going, yes, we've done days where we've done 200, 300, 400 people at a time at a showground. I've never counted those because I think it's poor accounting if you call that, oh, well, we've delivered to X amount, thousands of children in a year. Well, no, you haven't. You've actually given them a token experience for about 5 or 10 minutes at best, and not really made that much difference on their lives. We're talking about something Marina, fundamental here that will last their lifetimes. They might come out of it, but they might go back into it too.
Sure.
So, we're looking at it from a long term. We're not saying, right, here we are, goodbye. We're saying, here we are, see you next week.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
I think that continuity is important.
Sure.
Really do.
And really, I mean, when you teach someone for, let's say they pick up their rod, at one of these events for a couple of hours or maybe even less, maybe 15 minutes, and they don't have the opportunity to then go and, get their own rod or go and learn about the environment or how to catch a fish and what to do with it when you catch one. So the fact that really fishing for schools is a long term, it really gets them from the start, and you really ingrain everything, each step and level into them, so that they can then go and take it on themselves to go and do it, maybe when they've left school, or they can take those skills and use them at a later date as well.
I mean, that's the whole heartbeat of what we do. It really is. I mean, we want people to go out. We want people not just to understand about how you put a rod and reel and a line together. It's also how you understand what's going on underneath the surface of a lake or a pond or whatever, the species of fish. That a couple of the guys are bringing art into the whole thing. They're bringing in writing the stories. We've got one kid in Dorset who couldn't read, couldn't write, was falling out of the school system like you wouldn't believe, because what can he possibly do? Where can he go? Mm. And we've actually got him being mentored by one of the coaches to actually do his level 2 awards.
Wow.
Now, how cool is that?
That's amazing.
We've
how old
given
is
him
he?
an opportunity of doing something. Sorry, you're going to hear a noise. That's I'm quite near to Salisbury Plain, and that's an awful lot of money flying across the sky there with a helicopter. Sorry.
And how old is that boy?
He's coming up for 15, just about to be 16, so he'll be able to coach.
Oh, brilliant. That's amazing.
So we've given him a real opportunity at a career when he can, after all this dies down, all the COVID stuff, he can start to really, really play a role in society. Mm. And we've given him an opportunity that he probably would never have had. Mm. It's finding routes forward. Mm-hmm. That's our role.
And you were talking about, what the situation that we're all going through right now and how things are going to change. Does that mean that fishing for schools is going to change, do you think?
It's got to. I think it will, fundamentally. I think, I've done an awful lot of reworking of how we adapt and adopt a different way of operating. I think we're going to be looking at a far more active route via the means that we're discussing things at the moment. We're already testing that with various educational programs that will go straight into the classroom. And that way we can get feedback and actually enhance the experience rather than come away from the experience. So there's a lot to be done, but we also started to look very closely at why must it just stop at schools? Why can't it embrace the entire community? So we're actually looking at communities rather than just the school. We're looking at the whole thing. We're looking at parents. We're looking at guardians. We're looking at the whole thing, getting involved in what we do, as opposed just singularly, fishing for schools.
And do you have any? I know you mentioned earlier that you had some sort of little competitions and things that they can get involved on more of on a virtual level. Can you tell everyone what's going on and also how to get involved as well?
Yeah. Well, over this time, we found the need to have our own bespoke Fishing for Schools website. So we've got fishingforschools.co.uk. That's a nice plug. Got to get them in there, And what we've done, you remember doing that wonderful film with Matt Duncanson, who is an absolute genius in my eyes. I mean,
He
Matt
is.
makes the best among, I won't say the best, but among the best angling videos out there. I mean, they are amazing. If anyone hasn't seen them, you've got to go and see this. But he did one, can you remember? You were in it, called, I think it was called Killing Time.
Yes.
And it's about pike. It's about fly fishing for pike. And I mean, some of the footage there is breathtaking. But Matt very kindly let us put that film up on the website, and I did a drawing of a pike, but it was just basically an outline. So we got kids can download it and paint it in, and I don't know, put an umbrella on its head, or I don't know, then do anything they like with it. So we're making it far more active. Lee Hooper and I, who's another one of our coaches, but that's very close. But he's also a very, very good entomologist. I mean, he's one of the river fly assessors. He'll go into a stream and work out what the biodiversity is. And we were filming yesterday, and we got some great footage of mayflies, and I never realised how pale in colour some of the mayfly nymphs are. They're almost sort of a creamy white, you know. It's extraordinary, you know. And there we were doing sort of tan colours and all the rest of it. No, probably got it wrong. But anyway, we got all this footage, and so I'm going to be doing something. We're going to bring that together in an edited little film. But we're going to have a little quiz about that. You know, I'm not going to say what it is because then it'll blow it. But I'm going to have a quiz based on that. And then there's also, we found something very intriguing that was eaten by an otter. That's kind of giving it away. But we've got a little bit of it left, and we're going to put that up there and see what people guess what it is.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do some little drawings of the life cycle of the mayfly, and people can colour those in or copy them, and you know. So that's how we're going to approach it. So fun, education, very open to a wider spectrum of people too, and that's very, very important.
Sure. It's I think that by you and the Countryside Alliance being really active as well is great. And I'm just thinking, I was just thinking then that I wish I had the opportunity when I was younger to have someone like you or an organisation who was sort of teaching my local school all about entomology and fishing. And although I know that, you know, a lot of schools have fishing and they do go off with their schoolmasters, and but I think it's such an amazing thing that Fishing for Schools, you and the Countryside Alliance do, and all your team behind that as well.
I mean, it has changed me. I think it's changed most of the people that come into contact with it. I mean, I do, and you know, I said before on one of these things that you can't help but go into the outer perimeter of North London and go to a school of goodness knows how many ethnic peoples and not be moved by the stories that you find, and then bring them all together in this conglomerate called angling, and get people of all nations looking at one as a tiny bug. Now, how marvellous is that? You've got this one thing that's going to focus the attention of maybe people from just every corner of the globe. But they're all interested, they're all fascinated, they're all absorbed. And that's what I find intriguing about what we do and our approach, because it does cross divides. It really does. Because there's always that wonderful, magical quality about looking or imagining what's beneath the surface of a lake or a river. And you know, it fashioned us as anglers.
If anyone is interested in river sampling, you can go to the Riverfly website, and they have courses. That's right, Charles. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah,
and
do.
They also have river sampling kits. So is their website riverfly.com? Is it as simple as that?
I think it's a Riverfly. I think it's a riverflypartnership.com.
Riverflypartnership.com.
But I think if you get stuck, if you get in touch with the Salmon and Trout, I always want to call it the Salmon and Trout Association, but it's not. It's the Salmon and Trout Trust UK. I think it is now. They've changed their name.
They changed it again.
But well, I don't know. What is it now? I don't know.
I think it's Salmon and Trout Conservation. Salmon and Trout Conservation.
That's the one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because there used to be something else.
Whatever it is.
I can't remember though.
Yeah, it used. Yeah. But anyway, that one. They're leaders in doing this sort of stuff as well. So if you get stuck and you can't find the Riverfly Partnership, just go to them. They'll direct you. Or indeed, I'll find out because I'll ask Lee, because Lee will know.
Yes. Okay. Brilliant. And what's going on in the life of Charles Jardine? What are you up to?
Well, apart from
fishing for schools.
Well, trying to reorganise. Yeah, well, it takes quite a lot of doing. A lot of Zoom calls, and I never realised how tiring those are. I did 3 in succession one day, and I was absolutely exhausted. But I'm going fishing, actually, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Good.
And you know what? I went tench fishing the other day with Martin Salter, and I don't know if you've come across Martin. He of the Angling Trust fame. And what a damn good job they've done, actually.
Amazing.
I think every angler in the country ought to give them a round of applause, frankly. You don't need to stand on a doorstep on Thursday at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, but do have a little sort of thank you to them. They did a great job. But, we went tench fishing. It was like being a kid again.
Well, I mean, everyone's obsessed with tench. I love them too, but I don't really know how to fish for them. I mean, I've netted some here.
Well, neither do I. It doesn't stop me liking it.
Yeah, I know, but I need to come with you and Martin next time. Going back to the.
Love that. I mean, he really would. But it's like everything else in angling. It's so easy to be driven by fad and fashion, and you end up. If you listen to all these gurus, you're talking about helicopter rigs and this and that, and oh my giddy on. I mean, it's so. I mean, you need to work out Pythagoras before you even put a bait on, and then you don't know what bait to put on. And I thought, well, hang on about it. It can't have changed that much since I started as a kid with a worm and a. Dad gave me his second worst reel. It was a Nottingham Starback wooden reel. And I can remember it to this day. I was about 6. He didn't like me much. No, he did. The rod, anyone that's into antique fishing tackle here, it was an Apollo taper flash rod that was slightly like a metal tank aerial from, I think it probably was, from the Second World War. It was horrible. But I did catch my first tench on a swan quill and a logworm. And I could take you to that swim today. That is the quintessential part of tench fishing. It stays in the moat.
Brilliant. That's lovely.
It really does.
And they're really beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And they're called the doctor fish, or they used to be called the doctor fish.
Yeah. Why are they called the doctor fish? Yeah.
The friars and the monks in years gone by thought the slime on the actual outer surface of the tench was medicinal. That's how they got called the doctor fish. So
it's very slimy.
You had lots of medieval people sort of slathering themselves, not with Chanel or anything else, but actually tench slime. It must have been lovely, mustn't it?
Interesting. Well, I might have to try that.
No, don't. Please, God, don't.
And you're a grandpa now?
I am. Yeah, and that's the other disappointment. I haven't been able to pick the little bundle up because it's such a shame. And I do get a little bit irritated that certain sections of the community can. I was at Wimbleby. Okay, Wimbleby is a reservoir right in the middle of Exmoor. Mark Underhill took it over a couple of years ago, resurrected the place, lots of fish in there, fabulous setting. I go there to mend my soul because it's so quiet. What do I find? I get down. Mark called me up and he said, "Look, Charles, don't come down on Saturday because I've already had to try and turf. 400 young people have descended on one end of the reservoir for, I guess, an illegal rave." This was after lockdown. And then the Sunday wasn't a lot better. And, there are all these people getting together, and I understand it. It's the frustration of being incarcerated and cooped up. But I've stayed expressly by the books, and I played everything by those books. And I've not held up my little grandson yet. And I just feel, a little angry, I guess. Yeah, that's the right word.
I think everyone does. Yeah. But it's hard to say the right thing these days, isn't it? So, yeah, that's me not saying anything. Yeah. You're damned. Being correct. Really. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yep. No, as I said, I'll be the Alan Partridge of fly fishing. There you are. That make life a lot easier. I better not though.
Yeah. I know it's very tempting, but it's.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay.
Moving swiftly onwards.
Yeah, moving swiftly on. Don't mix politics and fishing.
No, we mustn't do that.
Especially not on a live stream.
Well, you started it. Marina, you started it by talking about my grandson.
I'm poking the hornet's nest.
Yeah. Anyway,
so,
I will do so.
Charles, for anyone who is watching who's interested in getting more involved with Fishing for Schools, what's the best thing to do? Should they contact you? Or should they? Can they subscribe? Can they subscribe to emails somewhere?
Yeah. You can either send a message on there's a Facebook. If you go Fishing for Schools, the Facebook page will come up. Leave a message there, or you can. I think there's probably a facility on the website. But if not, and you're having a problem, just get in touch with me. I'm simple anyway. But Charles at charlesjardine.co.uk, and I will respond. I do to everyone, or the one person that got in touch with me last year. But that's the simplest. I mean, I really, you were both in that very fortunate position of being reasonably well known in the sport that we love. And I see that as being open to everybody, actually. And I don't hide behind anonymity or anything else. If you want to get in touch with me, that's my email address, and I'll respond. So much easier.
Yeah, sure. Well, is there anything else we haven't covered? I might see if we've got any questions to answer. Let me just quickly see. I don't think.
No one's got any questions.
Tim Glass says, "Hi, what is the name of your project? Sounds good." So the name of the project is Fishing for Schools, and it's
Fishing for Schools.
Yeah, and it's a charity, and it's run by Charles Jardine, his team, and Countryside Alliance.
Well, officially it's a Countryside Alliance Foundation. We've had to make the distinction because the Alliance is the rural advocacy part of things.
Sure.
And the foundation is the one that looks after casting for recovery, the breast cancer charity, and Fishing for Schools. So we make the clear distinction because it's a lot easier to do that, actually.
Okay.
It's so much simpler. So, just I suppose really to dot I's and cross T's. But yes, please get in touch, Tim. Lovely to.
Tim Glass also says, "Where are you based? Would like to get involved." He is a level 2 coach.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just outside of Salisbury, but actually we're based all over the UK. We're everywhere from your lovely county of Yorkshire, right the way down through to Norfolk, across to Wales, down through into the West Country, and the only spot a lot of activity in Kent, when we've got schools functioning, of course, but the place that we have the most difficulty trying to get things going, I don't know why, is the Midlands, and I don't know why that should possibly be, but we've always we've got great interest there. It's just that we never see. We always have a couple of false dawns, and I'd love to change that, and I will. That's the one thing I will do. But when we can get cracking, when we can get up and running again, and it's not all doom and gloom out there. And I know there's an awful lot of politicking about how we're going to come out of this, and we're going to be in a dark place. Well, things like Fishing for Schools has the ability to mend young lives. Probably not to the point where it's going to change them, but it can mend little parts of it.
Well,
and
it could change them.
The parents and the guardians. Yeah, I mean,
it can change them in a big way.
We
You're being too modest.
Well, we're going to give them an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's amazing.
More people that. Yeah. So we're gonna do our best anyway.
And I think that you forget also, we forget how powerful really it is. I mean, for most people who go fishing, it changes their life at some point in, during their lifetime. There are, situations where perhaps, they've taken it up again when they're really, really stressed, and it's just a way of getting out, and, and it can really relieve them and also be therapy on the water. So I think what you do is ingraining it at a young age, and I think that puts them in really good stead for the future. It can do anyway.
Well, I think that Marina, and also the fact that you're going to have far more people going fishing now. If you look, rod license sales have gone through the roof recently. They really have, and as a result, I think our role, both yours and mine, is to make sure we maintain that interest that's come about through lockdown. Yeah. Because there's no question that fishing is on the up, but we've got to retain those. That's our job. That's our role, and it's happening in America too. So, we need some support from manufacturers. We need some support from everyone, really, to make sure we take that position of angling back to where it belongs, which is the number one participant sport in the UK. It's there to be done. It's really there to be done.
Yeah, David Thomas has said fishing has changed Lydia's life, and that's his daughter. So that's lovely to hear.
I think Mr. Thomas got in touch with me via Instagram, and I owe him a response. So hopefully we'll have jotted down my email address and get in touch with me directly.
Yes, Lydia won the Orvis Skyline Cap in the Orvis Hats Off Challenge. She won a cap, so well done, Lydia.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, well done.
Well, it's been wonderful to chat, Charles.
Than both of us.
Yeah. It's been wonderful to chat, and if we can share any of your your promotions for Fishing for Schools, so we can get it out there, then we will be sharing that as well. Especially, actually, I'll be sharing the website on my page, just so people know where they can find any information about Fishing for Schools. So, yeah.
That'd be great.
Perfect. Okay, well, I hope I catch up with you on the bank sometime soon.
Yeah, I've got to sort out this pike thing. Either tench or pike, one of the two. We can't have you having nemesis pike and not catching tench. That's not good. Not good at all.
Fantastic. Oh, thanks, Charles. And have a lovely evening.
Well,
have a lovely Monday.
Thank you. Thanks, Marina.
Okay.
I'm just off for my run now. So, okay. Thank you.
Bye.